Well, hello everybody, and welcome. Welcome to Monday. We made it. You made it through the weekend. You know, everybody like gets all worried about it, but for DJs, we actually make it through the weekend. So it's like making it to our Friday, right? Oh my goodness!
And we didn't get slapped.
No,
Nobody slapped us.
I knew somebody was going to bring that up. Please, let's change the subject.
No, I was just. What are you referring to? I mean, I just had a really bad show last weekend.
Okay. Lori took him out over on Friday. Actually, said, "Listen, I'm done with the knee thing.
We
get
up and walk right.
I'm no longer your
your chauffeur and your
snow shoveler.
Yeah, there is that.
Enough of you showing videos of me doing manual labor.
Yeah, there is that. But
oh no. But anyway, we are so thankful that you did take time out of your night to join us, and I don't know where John is going with this. I think I'm going to play a disclaimer here tonight, and I'm pleading the fifth. I'm going to plead the fifth.
So
that's so funny because I don't have a disclaimer tonight. So
wow, this is going to be awesome. This is going to be awesome. So one of the things I've spent some time late last week going through and looking at some of the different chats. You know, you're looking for different, the helping Facebook groups and such, and trying to find out, what are some of the things people are talking about an awful lot. And of course, music is always a big one. Then people are talking about gear and buying gear and doing this and doing that. And it seems that almost every topic or every couple of topics, there's always a point in time in the thread of comments where somebody is pointing out that XYZ, that's not an illegal thing to do, or you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. And I was thinking about it is having a discussion and really talking a little bit about there's many ways we as DJs or we as small business people, in essence, are, quote, breaking the law. Sometimes knowingly, sometimes unknowingly, but there's a lot of that happens. And I really just kind of wanted to have a discussion around it and talk, there's different areas. We'll hit those different areas. And then, some of them I think matter, and some of them I don't think really matter as much, although technically as they if we're going to go biblical, a sin is a sin is a sin. But yet I think that when we're talking some of the things we're going to hit tonight, there's levels that really don't matter as much when it comes to breaking the laws of the land, we'll call it. So
I have a question. So tonight's show is about me sharing ways that other people can break the law. That's what we're doing, right?
To a point. That's really
that's what I had planned, is sharing, because if it's the other way around, I ain't nothing to say.
Yeah, because there are so many ways. I mean, really, if we want to look at every time we go 56 miles an hour in our car, the little things like that. There's little infractions that are out there and that people do. Then there are some things out there that are major infractions or what have you. And I really wanted to kind of hit those because there's always someone who's going to point them out, and sometimes they point them out and they're correct. Maybe not the most tactfully way that they presented it in that chat stream, but they are correct. And then there's times where people have brought things up from out of the woodwork, and it's like, hey, you have no idea what you're talking about. And that's really what I wanted to kind of dig into tonight. So yeah, that's where our topics will go. Mikey Mike, the shirt that MJ's wearing tonight, that was actually one of our promotions that we went to go do at DJ Expo one year. I don't remember what year that was. This was just, it would have been 2013, maybe, somewhere in that ballpark. It was before we went to DJNTV. We were going to be the whole thing was DJs talking big stuff, and that would have been probably the DJ Expo probably of 13, where we were handing those out, getting ready to launch DJNTV, the channel, that January, and that was the plan. And it was supposed to be, we thought that'd be good, but it didn't catch, or we got smart and went a different direction. I don't know how you want to say it, but so yes, those are our limited edition t-shirts that MJ happens to have one of the 25, 30 of them, however many we had made back then. So yeah, you are a one of a kind there, MJ.
I know.
I think I've had two of them that I put into my, and over time the vinyl lettering is already cracked and looks terrible, as they typically do after you wash it.
Happens because you wash it.
I know.
Just don't wash your clothes like.
That's why yours are always like solid black and not the faded black.
Yeah.
The idea is you save ones for the show where there's no one that can smell you and only wear it for the show. And then you just look good because this is not smell-o-vision. It's not,
That's true. That's true.
This shirt will go back upstairs and be put away till the next time I need to wear it.
Now there's a level. I know what that's kind of like. I have different shirts out here in the office that you wear them for shoot the videos, and then on the rack they go. So let's kind of talk about, first off, one of the areas that everyone talks about is music. And, we've gone from the world of LimeWire, Dan, Napster, the rest of the world, to today where we can get music from any number of pools, some which are completely legal, some that are partially legal, and some that would be considered, in essence, quite illegal. To define the different levels of, you've got some that are licensed with the record labels in which they release songs for. You have some that are partially licensed, that the record labels have licensed some songs, but then they manage to get some other songs from other sources, and they have that available in their pool that are not licensed for that. And then you've got some groups out there that are selling they take songs from these other groups that are semi-legit or legit, and now they've got it, and you can pay $19 a month and you can have them all, type of thing. First off, I want to get your guys' opinion. In this day and age, and yes, Promo Only is a sponsor of ours, and we love Promo Only, and Promo Only is one of the companies that is leading the effort on this. This is not to disparage anything they do or anything that, but I want to just set them aside and such, because we love them, but I want to dig into the music. Does the legality of music matter to the average DJ out there these days?
The average DJ? No, not even close. Not even close.
For me, I would prefer to be legal, but number one, if I only played songs that I could get legally, no one would hire me, because the places I DJ at, every song, I don't play a stock song all night. So that's one of the things that, if a legal place could get me what I wanted, I'd pay more for it. But I have to have these to DJ with, these versions. So that's my only choice. And
I think that some of the labels don't release the versions you're talking about, and that's one of the reasons why a Promo Only probably doesn't have some of those.
Majority of those are made by people and then put up to the site. Like a lot of the guys who upload those to the different sites, they don't make any money for them. They're just promoting themselves by making mixes and putting them out there.
Mm-hmm. What about, Dan, you mentioned, of course, you jumped and said no right away. In that you're more in the mobile market than MJ's talking specifically in his club situation. Mobiles, the feeling you get is that most people may or may not care.
I think the average person, unfortunately, just doesn't care. I mean, to them, as long as they have the song, and I'm not talking about versions that are not available from pools. I'm talking about legit pools have the legit songs, and there are many out there that just don't care, and it's very easy to see. I mean, you have. All you have to do is throw up a song that is hard to find, and you will get an inbox of 20 people going, "Hey, I got you. I'll send it to you." Like, not even that wasn't even the question. Like, I remember a couple years ago, I had a bride who had asked for a song, right? I was having trouble finding it. All that I said was, "I'm looking for a place to purchase." And I used the word purchase. Can anybody point me in the right direction? And I had at least 10 people who sent me a private message saying, "Here, let me send you the song."
Yeah.
And it was just like people that I wasn't connected with or anything. So I think to them, to a lot of people, it's just one of those things where they just, here you go. Have at it. Enjoy. And in that case, I have an issue with that. And I think that's where I also said, when I jumped on it, because you said the average DJ. I think the ones that are true professionals, they care about it a little bit more until they run into a situation like MJ's, where they're looking for a redrum, or they're looking for a quick edit or something else that might not be available on the pools that are legit.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's others who kind of play the card. Well, I'm buying from a pool, so if it's not legit because the pool's not legit, that's not on me. So I'm doing what I can do to be legal. And if where I get it from is not, well, That's their problem, not mine.
Sure.
If you Dan, if you want to take that to an extreme, I challenge anybody, not right now while you're watching this, after the show, go to Etsy and type in DJ catalogs, and there are so many people on there selling hard drives of DJ music. It's not even funny.
Wow.
I have people offer me all the time, hey, I'm coming to your city next week. How much for your library? Nothing. I'm not giving it away. I'm not selling it. I'm not nothing. I work for that. You work for yours. However you want to work yours, that's up to you.
MJ, when you started, did you jump right into computer, or were you on CDs?
Oh my gosh, you don't even know. I started off on vinyl, okay, and then went to CDs, and then stayed on CDs.
This is your chance to
when everybody else went computers.
Yeah, because in early 2000, John Holman, he was one of the people who were helping develop PC DJ Red, and he called me up at the studio. He goes, hey, I've got this thing I want you to try. It's DJing with a computer. And I'm like, what? And I went there, and I absolutely hated it. I hated it so bad that it took me till 2010 before I started DJing with a computer. Because in the interment, going from CDs, Denon put out a couple things that I could use thumb drives on. So I was using thumb drives in like 2007, 8, and 9 before everybody else was. Then I went to the computer. So I love the digital age from the first time, like, because I know your question is going to be about the songs and ripping and all that stuff. The first time I was able to burn my own CDs, that was a new game for me because I didn't have to buy a whole album to get a song. And I could get the versions of the song I want. I didn't have to freaking sit around and, play radio edits. I saw somebody make a comment in there about radio edits. Again, for what I do, clubs, bars, casino, nobody plays radio edits.
Right.
At all. Like zero. I didn't say zero. A very small percent. Jan and I talked about that one night. Yeah. It's a very small percentage. So was that kind of how you wanted to get that question out about when did I start doing that, or ripping or stealing?
Well, no, not so much ripping or stealing, but when you were early on, if you needed a song, you had to go buy the CD somewhere.
Yes.
One way, shape, or form. And that became
there was a couple stores in town where you could go buy used versions. So sometimes DJs would get them and rip them themselves and then go sell that original copy somewhere, and that's where you could go and buy stuff like that.
Yeah, so you had that investment to create that catalog of music at the time, and I still look back at that as it was a defining, your music collection at that point in time was a definition of who you were and what you could do as an entertainer. And yes, today, as you're saying, your specific type or your catalog of music of what you play and how you play defines you. But for 90% of the DJ industry, we're all playing the same or very similar versions of the same songs, event to event.
I want to put a different picture in your head, okay? Because remember the Digital DJ Tips survey. Mm-hmm. What was the largest portion of DJs?
Well, the bedroom or the people who never play
so
out.
Do you think they're paying for any kind of promo only or anything?
Oh, I doubt very highly. Yeah,
okay, we're talking the second biggest group at.
I think you had the bedroom ones, and then you had the once in a while club ones.
Once in a while club DJs. Yeah. Are they paying for like a promo only type thing?
Unlikely.
Next one down after that is the bar and club DJs like me. Are we paying for the promo only stuff?
They're probably paying for something somewhere.
Something, but not. So you have to go way down on that list before the people who you say are the majority are not the majority. Mm-hmm. The majority is getting their songs any way they can, the cheapest way they can. There are a small few, and I would bet that it's under 20% of everyone who calls themselves a DJ. I'm not even talking about people who make a full-time living at it. I'm not talking about people who make a part-time. I'm talking everybody. Probably less than 20%. Try to stay as absolute legal as they can.
So we take that number, and I think you're right. Somewhere between that 15 and 20 is probably very, very accurate when you look at the whole industry. If we go back to the early in the 90s, prior to CDR, I would say back at that time you were looking at probably the opposite. You were looking at probably 70 or 80% were buying their music in one way, shape, or form, and that last 20% were probably putting them on cassette decks. They were getting music from somewhere and putting them on a little cassette and putting mixes on. And it's just interesting how technology has changed that. And it's become that the majority are, in essence, now technically would be doing it illegally, but yet there's
so many cats back in the day that had an entire catalog of compilation CDs. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they get at least a couple songs off of something, when they go out and buy a CD.
Yeah, you tried when you could find a compilation. That's why when the Billboard and those when the MTV to go came out, and that was like, woo, man, this is awesome.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe how many people would ask me back in the age. You got that's music version 20.
Yeah. Yeah, that was quite the thing. So let's kind of progress from music. Let's talk a little bit about gear, which this I think is a more modern type thing that I hear is people are, okay, where can I get speakers, or because we just went through Photo Booth Expo, is that if your name was involved with any of the chats on some of these Photo Booth Expo Facebook groups, you have direct from China companies that are trying to offer to sell you things directly, and some of these items that they are trying to sell you, most of the items that they are coming direct from China are not, in essence, legal to be sold in the United States or legal to be used in the United States because they don't have the different tests and such, the UL listings or whatever. When it comes to performance gear, how much do you think that matters to most DJs out there? Do they care that this lighting fixture isn't in essence safety checked in the United States type of thing, or does it even matter to DJs?
That's a tough, in my opinion, Dan. I want you to go with that. Are you going to say the same thing? That's a tough call.
What I was going to say, it's going to depend upon the equipment. It's going to depend upon which equipment that we're talking about, and we're also talking about which level. So I think part of the difference here with that, especially when we're talking about controllers, and we'll kind of go through the progression. When you're talking about controllers, there's entry level controllers. When you're talking that do everything that a bedroom DJ would want to do, in theory. Okay. Speakers, kind of the same deal. Like there's the entry level with that. When it comes to the lighting, you either go cords or you go wireless, and then the price point just skyrockets for anything that is legit. Now, I understand the reason is because of all the testing and stuff like that. There's fear of fire where a controller, it's going to short circuit. Like if it catches on fire, we got another issue happening here. But with the lighting, I understand that's the reason, and there's more risk and that kind of thing. So I think what ends up happening is because there's not a entry level that's quality enough, they jump to what would be the off market, going to give me the same results type of lighting, and they don't care that it's not UL because, well, 5 other buddies have this, and some person who puts out 3 YouTube videos every week says that this is the greatest thing ever, and if you mention their name, you're going to get some deal. Like, well, they all said it's great, and they didn't have an issue, so they go and get them, and let's say, oh, so-and-so had a fire. They weren't using the same ones. Yeah, they were.
They didn't know what they were doing.
Exactly.
I am part of that group that will go for the cheaper ones. Like my main lights are gig bars, but they're the gig bar LT that was discontinued, and I bought them new when they were discontinued because I just didn't want to pay the full price, because having the high-end stuff doesn't matter to me. Sure. For something like that, because those are good enough. And I think the part of the DJ world that is okay with the non, what are we going to call those? Non-legal? I don't even know what word I'm looking for. Non-verified,
There you go, non-verified.
Non-verified, yeah. For those of you who don't know, that for any electronic whatsoever, it has to have a rating on it that it has been tested for something or other to be sold in the U.S. legally. So that means that if I make a product, I have to get that little EV marking, whatever that stands for. Do you know what it stands? You guys know what it stands for?
No, there's a couple of different
Not
listings.
Electro Voice. It's extremely vulnerable. No.
Yeah.
To sell it, you have to have that label on there. And I don't look at those as being important to me. I look at the price being important to me. I own a whole array of uplights that are corded and non-EV. I don't even know if they have. I mean, they could have a fake EV for all I know. Sure. But they're stuff that's not like that, and I have a lot of those, and they work just fine. They're the kind of things that are so cheap you always buy extras just in case something quits. Toss it and put a new one down.
And I think a disposable world has really kind of fit into this situation also, is that, I buy 5 of them. I need 4 to work. I'll buy 5. And if when one dies, I'll throw it away.
Well, and I think part of the reason why, a lot of the DJs have that mentality, especially, and I'm using like the idea of the wireless uplates here, is because, 4 of them costs as much as 1 of them from the legit companies.
Yeah.
And so it becomes one of those things where, if I've got, if I buy 5 and 1's a dud, oh, well, I still have 4 uplates where the other guy, man, he's, they saw him coming, because it's that type of thing. Like, I get it. I get both sides of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And as they're saying in the chat room, both on Facebook and YouTube is that these are, they're for safety. And sometimes it's, one of the big things is not being grounded properly, devices. I've had numerous things sent direct from China to do testing, and they want us to do videos on it. And the things are not, they've got a different testing system over there, but literally the ground wire, when I open it up and take a look at it, it's like 3-prong, and you get to the other end of the thing, and the ground is not attached on the inside at any way, shape, or form, which is like, okay, so this would have not passed any sort of safety precaution. So that's the big reason why this is with the UL listing, and there are a couple of others out there also that are U.S.-based.
Here's something to let you think about. In the band room at the one casino, they have all really high-end lights there. I mean, like $5,000 and up. Intelligent lights. They have a section of intelligent lights. They don't use that often for special shows. And I was there one night, and people were like, I think that thing's on fire. So it wasn't attached and running. It was just plugged in. And the inside of it was just absolutely bright red. And they went and got the thing, the motion thing, went up there and unplugged it, and it was smoking. So anything crap can happen.
Yeah. And again, even things that have been tested in past have the UL listing. Yeah. Dumb things happen, but I mean that's a real thing, and that's something that Ben has talked about on a Tuesday show, that the getting things the direct from China sellers sometimes will have a problem. It looks like the exact same light you could buy from Chauvet or somewhere else. People get it doesn't work, or it's done damage, and then they come to Ben and say, "Hey, can you fix this?" Whatever. So,
John, from your expertise, how many of the companies out there do you think are not all buying from the same place, but some of the ones, like you said, the knockoffs that look like a brand, how many of those do you think are being made at the same place, but then shipped to 2 different places? They put their stickers on it and send that out.
It happens quite a bit, actually. And someone mentioned about, why these shows let the companies come in, or something to that effect. Shows like NAMM, and I'm not to pick on NAMM, but NAMM is a great example of how this works. And the lighting, there's some lighting shows that has this also, where you have some of these direct from international suppliers, and they have got the exact same light that Chauvet has upstairs that they're selling, and they're trying to find someone to in essence buy it, to license it. So if I wanted to go down there and have young lighting, I could go down there and I could buy almost Chauvet's look of products and have my name on it. Now, there's a few little chips, and this is coming and talking to someone from Chauvet over the years. There's generally a couple of chips or something inside it that are different. That Chauvet might have a little bit nicer chip in there, and they might have some more programming in there, or a little bit better diode, whatever. But it's like 90% the same. There could be a 10% difference, and that's where some of these knockoffs are coming. So you go.
I'm asking, do you think any of them are actually literally made at the same place?
Oh yeah, most of them are. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Most of the time when you see them that tight and that close, they are. So they ran a run for Chauvet. Generally, what happens in these lighting plants is that they will have 40, 50 products that they will have out, and someone from Chauvet will come in there and say, I like it. Nope. Yep. And then they cut it down, and then that's okay. These are the 5 fixtures. These are the new lights that we liked from your display. make these for us, tweak this, change this little diode, whatever. And then so they're picking basically from some of the suggestions from the lighting company. So that means that some of these lights, they're going to pitch them to the next group, or they pitched them to Chauvet today. Chauvet takes this, but they made 2 changes. Tomorrow they pitched them to Carpenter Lighting, and Carpenter Lighting liked them just like they were. So there's no changes to it, but it's enough difference that they're going to run them for Chauvet and they're going to run them for Carpenter Lighting.
That guy'll sell anything.
He will. And the thing is that he sells them, and then once he's done and they die, his version of customer service is it is.
He ghosts them.
He ghosts them.
That's now you guys know the secret to my millions of dollars. That
yes.
Why I still have 4 jobs.
Exactly, only 4. So that's good. You're doing well.
Good job.
So getting back to the gear, some of the trade shows. I think Scott mentioned specifically speakers, and I don't know if there's ever been a speaker company that I have seen at a DJ show that was not tied in with a U.S. based company. The closest would have been a German speaker line that was trying to come into the States, and I don't know if they had distributors yet. They came in, they were at one show, and they sold a few, but I don't think they really stuck over here because of that. You get into the international, like the NAMM and different places where they do have it, even the hardware show or the ASD, which is the American Seller Distributor show. Those will have international companies that are in there to sell these speakers with the lights in the front, and they'll have there'll be 20 different companies that have a variation of that speaker with a powered speaker with lights in the front, and they all look a little bit different, kind of, sort of, maybe. And those are generally all things that are just made as cheaply as they possibly can, and they want to sell them. Somebody uses them for one party, and then they throw them away. That's really what they've become. So, okay. The last area I wanted to hit here, guys, we talked about music, we talked a little bit about gear, and let's talk about the running of the business. And when there's parts of running a quote responsible business is having things like a legal business identity, which means either having a sole proprietorship or business set up as an LLC or whatever you did. Then there is the filing of your income taxes and doing the paperwork that way. And then there's things like having business insurance. So if something happened to your business at a show or at an event, to a guest at your event, you aren't going to lose your complete livelihood and such. How many DJs does this matter to out there? Is this a big thing, running a business as a business, or are we dealing with so many hobbyists that it just or not? I don't want to say
my opinion beyond hobbyist and professional. For those of you who really know me, I'm quite cynical in this world, and I believe there are so many dishonest people that take the path of least resistance in absolutely everything they do in life, and they will hide everything they do wrong until they get caught and go, "Oh, I didn't know." I guarantee there are people watching this right now. I'm not going to name any names because I don't know of any of you, but I bet there's a large portion here that don't give a flying crap. They're going to get away with whatever they can get away with. I just think there are a lot of people that might be okay with this, but don't care about that. Mm-hmm. They might go, I belong to a legal download subscription, but I don't claim any of my tips. That sort of thing.
And I think there's two sides to this. I think there's the people who know a little bit about what they should be doing, but basically decide to ignore it. I don't do it, and they intentionally don't do it. And I think we also have a group of people who don't realize that, I should be doing this. I think that's a real issue also in our industry.
I don't know. I think people know and just don't care as long as they can get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
Depends upon, I think it really kind of depends upon which piece we were talking about. So for example, like John, you were listening to 3 things and I was like, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. For myself. And I think it's one of those things where, unless they've kind of had some, like what you were saying, unless they've had someone kind of come alongside and show why they need to do one of those things, I can see why they might turn a blind eye. I mean, I operated as a business for 10 years before I ever carried insurance. And it was one of those things that nobody none of the circles that I was involved in did it. I was not part of the scene. I was not part of like following news groups and things like that to even know that DJ and liability insurance, like what is that? Did not even know. So I do believe that there are groups of people out there that do this and are completely just ignorant to that idea. At least like I'll use my area for example. I have never in the now 12 years that I've carried liability insurance, I've never had a venue ask.
That's
I
interesting.
had couples. I can probably count the number of couples that I've asked, not even couples that have hired me, but couples that have asked on two hands. And I could tell by the questions that they did, it was off of a list that they found somewhere that said that they had to ask. So, using that as an example, I really believe that that's just one of those things people just don't even think about because it's not been something that they've run into. Those that have heard of it, I think it's one of those, again, I'll get it if I have a venue that asks for it. That's when I need it. My speakers are on tripods and they're steady, and I don't need to use sandbags on my totems. All the things that you hear, that could go wrong. I don't need to do that because I've never had an issue. Nobody I know has ever had an issue, so that's wasted money. And I think that also kind of comes down to it too, because I think some groups avoid certain business pieces because of the cost that's involved that doesn't, in their mind, make them money.
Sure.
When I buy a speaker, when I buy lights, I can upsell it, or that makes me look better. Insurance, if nobody's asking and nobody cares, I just spent whatever for nothing.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where you see some of those pieces really creating that problem. And then when it comes to taxes, I'm sorry, it's not just the DJ industry, it's any industry. Any place, anybody who feels that they can hide even $50 from Uncle Sam is probably doing it because they can hide $50 from Uncle Sam. That's just, I unfortunately, I've even had people in the past that prepare taxes.
Mm-hmm.
This, people, when I first got started, he went, "Did you really make that much money? Are you sure you really made that much money?
Right.
Did you maybe drive more miles than what you're telling me?" The things that technically couldn't be traced, for, so those are the kind of things, like, I get it. And I understand why people, bend the rules, especially in some of the circumstances, because they're either led to, in that situation, or, who's going to know that, the groom's father gave me, $100 under the table as a thank you at the end of the night.
Here's a thought that I actually had several people that I ran into that, when we had the lockdown and we started getting government assistance, couldn't collect anything because they claimed almost nothing on their taxes from their DJ business because they did everything cash. And they're like, "Well, I can't even get anything." They're like, "How are you surviving?" I said, "'Cause I claimed it all. That's why."
Yeah. And that was a surprising thing, because even within our industry, I ran into that. But I've talked to a lot of people who run small businesses in our small community, and there were many of them that that they're moving 6 digits of money a year with their business, and yet because of how they ran their books, it just didn't work.
Yeah,
it didn't work for them. So
I think we need to preface this by saying we're not condemning anybody.
No,
we're just bringing up the topics of this, and because it is something that is discussed quite often with us, people asking us questions about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, pretty much everything we've talked about here, we've all done. Yeah. At some point in time, we have all been there, done that. And
here's a good example to talk about that. How many people, I can honestly say the first couple of years I owned Virtual DJ, I didn't own Virtual DJ.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a couple years to actually pay for it. So those are things like that a lot of people don't bother with.
Yeah. It didn't even get into software. I mean, that was such a huge thing, and it seems like some of these software companies now have figured out ways to keep us from pirating or bootlegging software. But oh my gosh, in the early 2000s, it wasn't. Let's just talk about Adobe software. It wasn't that difficult to have the full Adobe suite of
Adobe, Windows,
everything, and you could have it.
Ableton, all of those.
Yeah.
Here's something that you didn't bring up, John, about being legal, illegal, that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Is how many of those DJs out there stand behind their equipment and play a mix that belongs to someone else and claims that they're doing it or it's their mix. I know a DJ company that put out a mix that they stole from another DJ company. They're like, yeah, this is our mix. And someone else is like, that's so-and-so from New York's mix. They just added one song at the beginning. And it was. So, I mean, there was a guy online that lives in this city that was taking someone else's songs from this city and selling them online as his own until he got busted for it. So I'm saying do your own work. If you're not DJing, don't tell people you're a DJ. If you just press play and the mix goes on for half an hour, you're not a DJ. You're not a DJ.
Come on, Mike Walter put out that Doors Open mix, and he allowed us to download it from him.
But playing it and standing behind the decks and pretending like you're mixing, you're not a DJ.
I'm playing.
But I know guys who do that will do like 15 minutes on this side, and then they'll do something, a terrible mix, and go to 15 minutes on this side. To me, that's you breaking the law.
I still remember like back when I did a bar scene. It was like early in the night. I used to get all the old. I don't remember the group. Hot Mix, maybe it was.
Hot Mix was
something
one.
like that. It was like a radio. It was a radio. It was a radio show that the station that I worked for would carry. And so like the show would end and like they would just throw the discs away. So I ended up just collecting them, and I had a whole book of just like these different shows. And there was ads if I wasn't careful and paying attention that was at the end, but there was no imaging. There was no DJ talkover. It was so early. Like the first hour of me playing at the club was usually one of those shows. I would take a couple of the discs and just pretend, because there was 5 people in the whole place. And I just didn't care.
Dan.
I know.
He's pretending. How do you pretend back then? I mean, was knob turning a thing back then?
All those people who freaking touch buttons all night. I want to create a mixer controller that anytime you touch a button more than once and you're not actually doing something, you get shocked. I'm
mine was CD decks, and I just pretended that I was going back and forth, and nobody could see that I was really just the left one was the only one that was playing.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a really big name DJ, and I'm going to call him out on it. Give me a second here. That is coming to this area, and he is performing. And this guy, more or less, is a producer more than anything. Sure. I never remember this person's name, and everybody's like, "Oh, don't you think he's great?" He makes music, and every single show he goes to, he walks in with a thumb drive, hands it to someone to play, and that is literally all he does all night long. Give me a second here. I got to find it here because they just put an advertisement for him up, and everybody's up in arms about that this guy's getting paid thousands. Sick Kick is his name. He wears a mask and a hood. Sick.
Sick Kick.
Does not do anything in the booth other than fake for his 45 or hour minute set. Nothing.
So he's truly an entertainer, not a DJ. He's an entertainer because he's a
DJ. He's a producer that stands there and plays you his production tape.
Oh, so he's not even entertaining to look at.
He does some stuff, like Shaney talks about, and he doesn't sing, he doesn't do anything. He stands behind the deck as if he was DJing, and for the whole 45 minutes there is a thing playing, and he'll fake every once in a while and pretend like he's doing something. Literally nothing.
Gosh, it's almost like you're watching my show.
Man, and I just was want to could I be bold enough in life to put on a mask and fake it that much for his size of paycheck? There's a question. talking about people being honest. Forget about laws. For a paycheck of his size, would you put a mask on and go out on tour doing nothing more than handing someone a thumb drive with your hour mix, standing behind the things while the hour mix plays, then walking away? There you go. I want to do that. I want to be able to do that, but I can't let myself.
Like it or not, I have more respect for somebody who does that than somebody who would take somebody else's.
That's
and
true.
then do that.
At least they had to put it together.
Yeah, you can say he is talented. It is his own.
He
work.
obviously did something, and you know, the question that I would be curious about is, does he have one thumb drive and goes around and plays the exact same thing, or does he pre-mix it at home and there's different ones that he uses different times?
From what I understand, I mean, a lot of the songs in his mix are his songs. So keep that in mind. So they're going out and playing a lot of his own stuff. And it's pre-mixed at home on a computer. So it would be just like listening to someone's mixtape. And I hate that word because a mixtape is a whole different thing. And him taking that, and from what I understand, it's only so often he'll change it up. So if you follow him city to city, you're going to hear the exact same thing every time.
Interesting.
Because I used to know performers back in the day that didn't bother changing anything because they know that by the time they get back to this venue, people would have forgotten what they did at that venue and they do the exact same show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so, but would you get paid? Let's say you got a chance to tour around, $5,000 a night, hotel, transportation, food, to put a mask on and stand there for an hour and fake it. Would you do that?
Yeah.
Easily done.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my show tonight.
Yeah.
And by the way, you can do that with Megaseg if you want to.
Yeah.
Might I also add, John and I together last week, nobody said that software name.
Oh, so this is all being blamed on me now. Well, there's nights when John and I were here that nobody said it.
So it's apparently when the three of us have to get together. That's the
There's
problem.
something that happens. I don't understand it.
I was just really thirsty, and Dan took a drink earlier and for no reason, and I'm like, I can't let that happen.
Oh,
Listen, I'm drinking for all night long, and it's just because.
It's just because it's been a long day. So anyway, that was kind of some of the areas I wanted to hit tonight, guys, and to talk about that. And as you said there, MJ, is that it's not that we're trying to pick on anybody. It's just sometimes it's an eye-opening thing for people. Many of us are at different places in our career. For some, they mentioned it in the chat, is that people who have been in that for a while and have gotten their business to a point now realize, let's back up just looking at liability insurance. When we first started out and we were renting and we didn't own anything, if I would have had a speaker fall on someone and I got sued, I'd probably just filed for bankruptcy and walked away. You know, that type of thing. Once you have property and once you have assets and once you have a family, now you need to be protecting the business and protecting your more things. And it changes and as we go through. And I think it's important to have those discussions because sometimes people don't think about those and sometimes they don't think about it until it's too late.
I want to throw one more story in here real quick about the fake mixing, because this is the other end of that type of thing. A friend of mine who is a good DJ, a talented mixer, a very good DJ, got hired to open for Journey. No joke. Real deal, open for Journey. They required him to submit his mix ahead of time and that he would to play that mix on stage, not mixing but faking.
Sure.
That was required for him to do that. So there's part of the entertainment world out there that wants that.
Oh, and I think,
like I said,
Scott,
I think anything like that, they want control to make sure that there's no weird thing that you're deciding to do and go off script.
But he did it, and again, it's a paycheck. Technically it was his mix. He did submit it, but just like the other guy, but he went up there and opened for Journey and kind of faked it.
Mm-hmm. And I get that. I mean, that's some of the bands are because they want to have a good quality sound, and they can have a better quality sound if it's canned than they can when they open up all those microphones. Yeah. So it's not unusual. Excellent. Let's see. Howie posted what he was going to be talking about tonight. I gotta find that.
It's going to be talking about something DJ related.
Yeah, imagine that.
It was playing before your contracted start time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they're going to talk about
that's going to be a fun one.
About we're booked from 8 to 12, and do we start at 7:30? Or and the people are like, hey, can you play some background music while we're knocking down tables? And no. But anyway, that's what they're going to talk about. DJNTV.com/chill. They'll be doing a recording here at the top of the hour at 10 o'clock Eastern. And then after that, they'll be opening things up to chat. So you guys can bounce out there. So tomorrow night, I think so. We didn't talk much about what happened last night. I think tomorrow night, that's going to be the big topic with Brian J. and Howie. And I might actually jump in there to share some thoughts. If you didn't check out Brian Red's videos on the whole incident last night, go check it out. He's been getting some. He had an interesting perspective on that, and that's all. We'll leave it there. And tomorrow night at 10 o'clock, they'll be digging into that again at DJNTV.com/chill, and you guys can go check that out. If you didn't catch last week's virtual expo, we talked about basically taking care of you, and we had some really interesting discussion around different aspects of physical and mental health. And it's worth listening to if you've really never thought about it, and if you have been thinking about it. There's some different. We had a variety of different approaches and different thoughts, and maybe some of those little tips and ideas will resonate with you. So if you got some time, go jump out to DJNTV.com/virtual expo, and you'll be able to find last week's show and kind of listen to how things, some of the perspectives and such of keeping yourself mentally and physically sharp. So there's some good discussion there. Anything else?
In about my show, those of you who tuned in or watched last week's music and mixing show about virtual DJ, this is what I want to say that's amazing, and I'm thanking you all for it right now, is that it is an hour-long show on YouTube, looking at nothing but me. The camera doesn't change. Just me for an hour talking about a singular piece of software. And in less than a week, we've already gotten more than 1,000 views on it. So I want to thank you guys, and I am trying to think and create a way to bring more of this than once a month for the virtual DJ audience. So thank you for that, and just let you know I'm trying to create something so you get more than once a month on this. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your support.
That is awesome. One last little tidbit, and then we'll break. Is we kind of alluded to this as gear not being available. Mentioned this during the marquee talk before. Is we're hearing now that there may be problems with gear, and we alluded to NAMM 2023 that it may be moving later in the year. I think you're going to hear more about that moving into April or June of 2023, because it's now looking like January of 2023 that some of the companies that were expecting 2022 product in 22 won't see it now till early to mid 2023. We've got, first off, there was a backlog, then there was a chip shortage, and now some of the shops in China are being shut down. If you follow today, Shanghai was shut down, and it's looking like there's going to be a lot of things going on there. So if you're needing gear for fall, if you needed gear for summer, and you had your heart set on buying a specific type of gear, you probably aren't going to find it, unfortunately. So you may have to find a different piece and then eventually get what you want, or you're going to have to make do with your old stuff. And I would highly recommend, before you sell your old stuff, make sure you got the new stuff in hand, because I've had, personally, I've had a couple of pieces that were on order and they were supposed to be here a month ago, that they were on hand and they're still not here. And it's because there's other people who need it more desperately than I do. I've still got some time, so they've been filling other orders, but yeah. So
I have a case I'm waiting on, DJ case, same thing.
Yeah.
It's not anywhere. They can't. I'm going to have to wait.
Yeah. So just keep that back in mind.
I've even heard like some of the dealers who like they were getting product and everything else and getting all set up, or they were getting it, or they were on a wait list, and then out of nowhere, prices are skyrocketing. So things are getting passed on. So I would encourage, not just from the standpoint of waiting to get that gear, but also if you buy it now, you get now's price. Yeah. You don't get whatever that new price might be in 6 months. And if it's, even if it's only $10 higher, that's $10 that, you could have saved.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Dan, I think we're done. take us home.
Right. Well, on that note, thank you very much for taking some time out of your night to come join us. You've heard about the shows that are coming up and how you can participate by watching and being a part of the chat. And of course, check out Howie's show coming up next, djntv.com/chill. Have yourself a great one, and we'll see you next week. Bye.